Well, I'm excited about the Healing Frequency Music Project because so many people are suffering now in our world. And even though we have some things we can do about it, medicine, psychiatry, church, people are still suffering. And I was always looking for something that I could do to help that. And when I discovered these 7 frequencies that have had a profound effect on humanity, it kind of blew my mind because 396, for example, when people listen to that, suddenly if they're feeling shame or guilt or insecurity, suddenly that just moves away and opens them up to be touched by God. Each of them has an inherent quality in the way it impacts the physical body as well. For one thing, if people are suffering from shame and guilt and rejection and insecurities, when they listen to the 396 frequency, all of a sudden they lose all of those inhibitions and those feelings of being unworthy, I guess, and they open themselves up to God to touch them, and they're not repulsed by the thought of God looking at them. And in the same way, physically, there's things that happen with their liver function, metabolism, a myriad of different things, blood pH, things that happen because they've listened to that frequency, and the body can't help but be affected by it at the same time. Years ago, Gregory the Great, or Pope Gregory the Great, decided that the Gregorian frequencies that these wonderful men sang was too holy for the ears of man any longer, and so they stopped doing this and they changed the tuning, which is kind of like the day the music died. Everything that we listen to today is in A440, and for the non-musical friends of ours, it's a type of tuning system that works off of middle C, but it's 440 hertz per second, and that is what we're used to tuning. So everything from A, B, C, D, E, F, and G is always the same, and regardless of what you do and how you manipulate those around, music is only going to be a different arrangement of those particular notes, whereas these frequencies live somewhere in the in-between realm. It's in between G and G sharp, or A and A flat. And what's interesting about frequency is that if you're listening to a radio station and suddenly you drift off of the station, you get this spurious static noise. But when you readjust and you nail that frequency, all of a sudden you have this giant symphonic music back in your ears again, and you recognize the song. Frequencies are the same way. When you find a frequency that affects a body in a certain way or causes some sort of resonant activity, every part of your body has a resonant frequency. And so once we find what the resonant frequency is of, let's say, for instance, the heart, if you can reproduce that frequency, then your heart will be affected by it every time that it hears it. So what the Gregorians did, and where these frequencies came from, was they were in a totally different polyphony, a totally different tuning. And they had 6 particular notes, and each one of these notes would have a different type of effect. We don't hear these in modern music. We haven't heard these. Many people that are listening today have never heard any of this in their whole lives, and that's the profound proprietary nature of this project, is that you're going to be hearing something you've never heard before that's going to radically change your life. It can change you physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And so, to answer your question in a nutshell, it's the music that lives within the music that we haven't heard because it was taken away by people who had the power to make this stuff disappear because it was supposedly too holy for the human ear. What's different about this project is that when you go online and you listen to 528 hertz or 396, 417, what have you, you're going to get a little sample that's 30 to 60 minutes long, and it's usually just a oscilloscope or frequency analyzed generation of that tone, which is a sine wave, and you can't listen to it for very long. It's irritating. It sounds like in the old days when your TV would go off the air on a channel, there'd be that piercing sound and you just turn the set off. So initially, when I was in this phase, I was trying to keep myself open to what would make this different and what would really have a profound healing effect on people. And the first thing is I have to use these proper frequencies, but they certainly don't have to be this harsh. And so we used a myriad of different methods to soften, if you will, these frequencies, so that if you listen to just the frequencies alone, you could listen to them. You could put that 22-minute and 22-second CD you'll be holding in your hand soon on infinite repeat, and it would never get irritating. But we've gone far beyond that. We have a binaural frequency, in other words, one you'll hear in each ear. One will be like the sound of crystal glass when you run your finger around it, and the other side will be either something in nature or a keyboard sample that's very pure but bright dialed on that frequency. And then around that, you're going to hear beautiful music. But make no mistake, as beautiful as the music is, the music pulls you in to the frequency or the medicine that's actually having the change and the transformation power that you're feeling and sensing, and hopefully some of the physiological change that's positive that's taking place. So in essence, what we've done is we've brought music to be the spoonful of sugar and added the frequency to be the medicine. And so that's what I think separates us from anything I've heard so far, is that first of all, it actually really works. And second of all, it's music that you love to listen to, but all the while you're getting a therapy at the same time that's actually having a physiological and psychological and spiritual effect on your body. I would love to offer you a free sample of one of these frequencies, 396 hertz, which I mentioned earlier is profoundly effective with shame, guilt, insecurities, rejections. So many people deal with these things, and you'll find huge relief just by listening to the frequency. And all you have to do is enter your best email address in the box that you see below, and we'll get it out to you right away. Thanks for listening. After you enter your email address, we'll take you directly to the full video presentation that explains all of this in great detail. Now I'd like to tell you about the product that we've created just for you. You'll get 396 hertz, which will remove guilt, shame, bring down your defense mechanism so you can receive from your creator, as well as affect your blood pH for the positive, liver function, bones, brain, neurotransmitters, and your kidneys. 417 hertz breaks negative cycles, procrastination. You have a hard time getting things done? Honey, take out the trash, and it's there for 7 days. This is the frequency for you. Sluggishness in the midday, 4 o'clock-ish, large intestines, enzymes, digestive process, prostate, and stomach. Also the gallbladder. If you're having gallbladder issues, this is a great frequency. The frequency 444, I call that the key of David. That's kind of like the master frequency, but it's most known for dealing with lungs, especially like either pleurisy or pneumonia, blood issues, especially circulation, and cellular oxygenation. And then there's frequency 528, which is in Latin Megistorum, or the miracle frequency, which is kind of a miraculous tonic that affects everything. But one thing you'll notice for sure, and it's proven by scientific research to extend the telomere length of your DNA. It's a big word for saying life extension, as well as repairing broken DNA, which is obviously the source of all disease. It's great for your entire body, and especially for women that are struggling with hormone imbalance and pelvic issues. We have the frequency 639, which restores relationship, and that's a really big deal. If you find yourself constantly always feeling like the victim in every situation and everybody else is wrong, this is your frequency. It's also great for adrenal exhaustion or endocrine issues, as well as gallbladder. We also have frequency 741, which is mostly thymus and the immune system. So if you find yourself getting colds and flus often, this would be a great frequency for you. And finally, the frequency 852, which is in Latin, from the lips of man to the ears of the Father. This is a frequency that's most known to bring people in contact with God Almighty, your Creator. Very powerful. I've also written a book which explains everything in great detail, everything specifically for each of the frequencies, and far more information than that. What colors affect each of the frequencies, and then even on a human standpoint, issues about Renaissance period, some of your personality issues. It's a very comprehensive book and a great reference. Choose from the packages below and then click the Add to Cart button. So just choose from the packages below and click on the Add to Cart button now. We offer you a couple different ways of getting your music. One is a digital copy for your smartphones, iPads, or your personal computer. We also offer you a physical copy of the music, 7 songs on 7 CDs, smartly packaged and mastered, which is actually far better than digital, and let me tell you why. A MP3 or a truncated digital download sounds great on your iPad or your personal computer, but if you have critical listening, a nice stereo, you want to put it into a comfortable environment in your workplace, business, it's a far better sound, because actually instead of truncated files, these are mastered files that are created from a glass master and optimally created for sonic excellence. So if you want to go one step further, I would consider the upgrade, which is the physical copy of the CDs themselves, and they'll sound far better. And you'll also receive a printed copy of the book that explains all of the frequency information and much, much more.